Hi, this is the Tempter podcast where we explore ways to consistently innovate using open source technology and workflows. Your hosts today are Cliff Brake and Kim Raj. Hello, Kim.
Hey Cliff, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Happy 2025.
Yeah. Thanks. Same to you and all our listeners. So today we want to talk about 2024, do a little review, talk about some tools that worked, new tools that we found, what's been happening in our industry. So 2024 has been a very interesting year. You want to start us off with some tools, Kim? What did you find that worked for
Yeah,
you?
so these were, several things. If you go to our community .tempter.org, then you'll find that we keep posting about new things we find, and we try them. In some cases, they stick. In some cases, we kind of park them for future. And so today we're gonna see that some things that became part of our daily driver. So essentially, I think one on top of the list is jellies or jellies, whatever you pronounce it. But that does not diminish its value. And essentially, we basically were using Tmux or Screen before that, and we've been um, pleasantly surprised with jellies. And essentially, we started playing with it. And it has become sort of our daily driver. So what has been so outstanding about it for you?
Yeah, so that Zilly J has been a very, very good tool. It's really been I wasn't too impressed with it at first. It seemed kind of bloated and big, like it took up a lot of space on my screen.
Hmm.
And it probably is one of those things that took a while for me to stick. I know I probably posted on it early, but it maybe took a year or so before I really started using it. So just to be clear, this is Zellij, Zellij. I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but it's described as a terminal workspace with batteries included. So you can run this tool in your terminal, and you can set up tabs and windows. It has a lot of neat features like the windows are the big ones. So like I like to work with a large terminal and then split it in half or something, and then have various tabs for different tasks I'm doing. And one of the neat things is if you close it and come back, it remembers all your tabs. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of setup that you don't have to do again.
Yeah. And I love floating windows. Essentially that is something that if you kind of run a test, quickly, something like that, you can float a window, do things, and then let it disappear. It's really awesome from that aspect as well. So, and I guess it's um, a decently developed tool, a good community. I see a lot of activity on the upstream GitHub repository, and so hopefully, we'll use it for long.
Yeah. I would say if you like tabs in your terminal, if you like to split your terminal into windows,
Hmm.
if you like to access your terminal from another computer and have a long running session, so like we can have a Zilly session running on a server, disconnect from it, and it's still running. We log back in, reconnect to it. Any of those things you like, then this is the tool for you. And especially if you're using Tmux, this is a big step up.
Yeah, I agree. So the second tool is the editor. So we've used different editors all along. Emacs, Vi, modal editors, Vim and Vim, maybe Visual Studio Code, and so on and so forth. And there are a few others, but we started playing with Helix, um, and we've been, we've been basically using it for a while. At least I was slow to it because I had a lot of NVim integrations already, and I didn't want to let go of them or find equivalent things in Helix. Um, but it built upon me over time. And I think the integrated nature of it, where you really don't need plugins, and so the basic Helix defaults are good enough. Um, Kind of got me to use it. And their releases for different architectures, I just take one of the pre-builds, throw it out on one of my targets, like an ARM target, and it starts working there. And all the syntax highlighting, everything is in place, has won me over. So I'm a regular user of Helix now. And how about you?
Yeah, Helix has really caught on with me in this past year. And before that, I was a NeoVim user,
Hmm.
and I used one of the like the Lazy Vim add-on, that kind of gives you all your batteries included. But it was very complex, very fragile, and slow at times, and it just really didn't feel like it was the right experience. So Helix, I would describe as they took Vim and rewrote it from the ground up.
Hmm.
And a lot of the key bindings are similar. So if you like Vim, a lot of the movements and stuff are still the same. But they actually rethought a lot of them and changed some of the more complex or motions and things like that to be a little more consistent. And it took a while for me to learn, but I feel like the muscle memory is there now. And
Hmm.
and one of the nice things about Helix, and the same happens with IntelliJ, but with Helix, if you type a space that which starts a number of commands, it'll pop up a little box and show you all the options. So when you're
Yeah.
getting started, you don't have to remember all these things. You can just start using it. It'll kind of help you along, and that seems like a very nice feature of a tool if it helps you discover what it has.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing, speaking of JellyJ and Helix, you can open JellyJ buffers in your editor. And so that's one of the features I really like, because sometimes you compile big projects, and there's a scroll uh,
mm-hmm.
that you want to smartly look for some things. So you can, like, there's a easy command to open it up in your editor, and then off you go. It's you have all the rich text editing, searching, whatever you want to do in Helix. So that has been like a power feature for me in 2024 that I learned new.
Yeah, the other thing I do a lot with a combination of ZeliJ and Helix is you can have Helix open up a ZeliJ floating window,
Hmm.
and you can run things like lazy git or the Yazzie file manager in those floating windows, but you have to use the two together to really get all those nice benefits.
Yeah.
The language server integration is excellent.
Hmm.
That's really kind of what they focus on, is being a nicely configured language or editor, and a lot of the language servers just work out of the box.
Yeah. So I think I agree. I think the language server is quite powerful, and I've seen it, like, I use it in embedded cases, especially when you are using a stage sysroot to provide system headers, right? When you're doing cross compiling.
Mm-hmm.
And with CMake and others, it can easily figure out. So it's not looking for your system headers from your host system, like user include, but it is basically including it from your stage sysroot. That is awesome. Like, sometimes I see this nice warnings that I see in my editor, like auto suggestions, and I
Sure.
say, "Oh, okay, why?" And then I look, well, I'm building for muscle, and and it's basically parsing through the muscle headers and
Yeah.
suggesting me that. So and it all works without me doing anything, and that's really really powerful, because otherwise, if I point to my host, and I'm compiling some for another target using different headers, it will give me some hints and all, but they will not be up to date, essentially. So
Yeah.
uh, very good. So a few other things we discovered were we were playing with shells, going from console in KDE or GNOME terminal and other things, or iTerm, whatever you use on Mac. Um, and we discovered few of ones which were GPU accelerated, so to speak, and Alacrity being one of them, Kitty being another one, and Vestorm being another one. And I think the Vestorm and is quite popular on Windows, and Ghost TTY. So we played with all of them, and I think we have kind of documented our experiences on the community site. But at least I'm sticking with Alacrity quite a bit now. I've kind of figured it out how to use it, and it hasn't given me any surprises, and I'm still sticking with it so far. So initially, I was kind of toggling between iTerm and Alacrity, but now I've kind of like started using Alacrity regularly. So how have you been your experiences with Term?
Yeah, I really like Alacrity too. That
Mhm.
it really it does everything I need, and it's super fast. The fonts look amazing,
Yeah.
and so Alacrity is written in Rust, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is an interesting trend. Says LEJ, Helix, and Alacrity are all written in Rust. So this is
Hmm.
definitely a trend we're seeing in tools.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Alacrity, it's just a no nonsense. And if you use LEJ, you get your tabs with LEJ, so you really don't need a terminal with tabs and all these fancy features. You basically just need a terminal
Hmm.
that does very well at supporting all the standards and features a terminal needs.
Yeah.
Ghost TTY is interesting because that's written in Zig, so it's really kind of the first big tool we've seen written in Zig.
Hmm.
And I tried it. It really didn't have any features that I thought were great, but it's supposed to be good. Yeah, that's definitely one I'm going to follow and kind of see where it goes.
Mm. Yeah, and then there were other tools like Serial TTY and TIO stood out. I was using other tools, Minicom, some other tools to kind of connect the serial consoles. But TIO is one that in 2024 kind of started using it exclusively for doing all my serial communications.
Yeah, TIO is great. It basically replaces Minicom or Screen,
Hmm.
or what's the one they use on Windows?
Yeah.
Putty, I think. But anyway, if you're connecting to a serial device and need to see a serial console, it's great. The best feature I like is if you disconnect the device, it doesn't like crash. It just calmly waits until it comes back and then reconnects to the serial port.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and if you can create profiles, so and it nicely puts all the logs in a profile, per profile basically, so you can inspect those logs later on, as well. Sometimes things scroll on your serial, but it basically is there being recorded, and that's really useful at times when you're debugging things and looking for stuff. So
sure. Do you have it set up so that it recognizes each serial port and has like a log for this device and a separate one for that device and so on?
yes.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And you can also create a profile. So I can say TIO IMX8, and then whichever
Mm-hmm.
device it is connected to, it'll nicely connect to that one. So I really don't have to remember the tricky names of all my, serial connections.
Sure. And with USB devices, they all show up at different places depending on the
Yeah.
order you connect them. So
Right.
if it can
Yeah.
actually look at the device IDs and figure that out, that's a big help.
Hmm. So, so I think there were other tools like FD, RipGrap, LazyGit, that I think were honorable mentions that we started using instead of traditional find and grep and search. Um, I've been actually using FDRG quite a lot these
Mm-hmm.
days, and there were like ugrep and others I played with, but FD and RG definitely they are on my muscle memory now on terminals. How about you?
Yeah, I really like these tools. And one of the best things, it's kind of like Helix. in IntelliJ, they've really put a lot of emphasis into the user interface, and they just kind of do the right thing without thinking a lot about it. So
Hmm.
it's sane defaults, and it kind
Yeah.
of optimizes for the most useful case. They make that really easy.
Hmm. And you really don't have to remember complex, syntaxes and things like that. You don't have to
Hmm.
type a whole lot, and it just knows how to do right things.
Sure.
And that's quite a bit, actually, if you consider it. Like, it relieves you of quite a bit of cognitive load. So awesome.
Right.
And I think you mentioned about you changing your search habits. So talk about that. How did you find Perplexity, and what do you use it for?
Sure. So Perplexity is a AI, large language model type tool, kind of like OpenAI ChatGPT. And Perplexity, I really like it. It's kind of replacing Google for a lot of my searches, because it basically looks at information that's out there and does a summary. And but one nice thing about Perplexity is it provides links or references to the information it used to provide the summary. So if you want more information, you can go click on these links.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of nice if you know what's backing the summary that it gives you. So I feel like it saves me a lot of time. Instead of having to read, it can summarize. It's pretty good at writing code. Probably not as good as OpenAI, ChatGPT, but it's good enough for most of the things I need it for.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and then the references are really cool, because then chances of hallucinations, you can cross-check them if need be, and that's really good at times. That you want to make sure that information is coming from reliable sources.
sure.
So that really helps out. And Yazi and LazyGet, how are you finding them?
Yeah, these are terminal UIs for both Git, and Yazzy's a file manager.
Hmm.
So a terminal UI kind of looks like a graphical program, but it runs in the terminal, and they do all kinds of tricks with icons and ligatures and different things to make it look pretty nice. But I feel like both these tools are very fast, very efficient. Um, LazyGit shows you diffs, shows you a tree of all the files that changed. Yazzy's a super fast way to browse through files and look around. So if you want to navigate a file system, um, with Yazzy you can do searches and finds and everything kind of right in the tool. So it integrates with RipGrep and Find, to do things like that. So, and then both these tools I can run inside Helix as well. So it's a really nice integration of a lot of new stuff. Have you used LazyGit much, or?
Yeah, I use it not very often, though. I'm still a traditional, Git user. Haven't used it as much as probably you have done,
Mm-hmm.
and Yazi for that matter as well. Essentially, um, I rely on the picker that comes with Helix, and I'm kind of okay with that. So for a IDE environment, then you really need something like Yazi, but I do not do that.
Sure.
But I think it's a good thing. Probably in 2025, we might say that these are also now part of the repertoire.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of new things, and I feel like the Rust programming language has really motivated a lot of people to write tools. And I
I agree.
suspect some of these people are just writing tools because they want to learn Rust,
Mhm.
and scratching an itch for a new tool is one way to do it.
Yeah, so I think that was a pretty good uh, list of tools that we played in 2024. And there's a lot of information we have collected about our experiences, or them, some particular links and documents. They're all on the community channel. So, if you want to learn about our experiences, or, just try these tools, You might find some of them are useful to you as well and may fit into your workflow and improve things for you. Thank you very much for listening into today's podcast. We do have more things to talk about 2024, probably in the upcoming episodes. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.